We founded Climate Central because we saw the need for an organization that didn't yet exist, but one that was very much wanted by hundreds of climate experts. An organization that could bridge the gap between the scientific community and the public in communicating clearly and accurately and without opinion the facts about climate change.
There's a need for an organization like Climate Central simply because of the sustained magnitude of activity that's going to be necessary to get the job done.
That's one of the things that Climate Central really wants to do. It wants to show people that the climate change issue is inherently connected to the energy issue, extreme weather events, infrastructure, food, gas prices. It's intimately connected to all of these different issues that are so obviously important.
Several months ago, when I told people that I was joining this organization, they said, but people have come around. Everyone's buying into this. Well, I think that's ephemeral. I think it comes and goes, and the minute that there's an economic push on the system, then concerns about the environment are going to be diminished. So the need is today, it's now, it's in the future.
Climate change as a problem is almost perfectly designed to escape people's notice. It took a huge network of scientists studying weather records from around the world, studying the most sophisticated of models on supercomputers to detect climate change initially and understand it. So we have a really big communications task in front of us if we're going to help people to really see and understand what's happening.
In the scientific community, there's a lot of time spent making sure that the science is right, making sure you don't publish something before it's vetted thoroughly. My impression of the media is that it operates much more quickly than that, much more rapidly. And I think Climate Central is a combination of those two very different cultures.
The news media often gets distracted by trivia, by celebrity, by the more salacious story. But at Climate Central, the focus is on the most enormous challenge that we as a planet face right now, and that's climate change. I'm Siobhan Dara reporting from Bristow, Iowa for Climate Central.
One of the things that I really care about is making climate change visible to people. Most people can't really picture what the future could look like. The whole thing with Climate Central is to take global warming and make it local.
The skies are as stunning as ever, but all is not well with Montana's trout population.
We have a chance to tell this story through the lens of local experience about climate change, a personal understanding that ties people to the larger theoretical framework that scientists understand.
What's unique about Climate Central is that it's a hybrid organization. You have a think tank of scientists and a think tank of communicators, and they're thinking together. It's not as if you had a group of scientists that contracted, if you will, with somebody to help them communicate. Now, the communicators and the scientists, both of which are knowledgeable, are working together. That's absolutely unique. There's no other organization like that.
The climate problem is one of the problems that has been surrounded by more disinformation than almost any other problem I can think of. And that shows the need for Climate Central. Someone who doesn't have a dog in the fight has to try every day to speak the truth about the problem, and that's what Climate Central is dedicated to do. Climate Central does not and will never lobby anyone. Avoiding advocacy is, of course, very, very difficult, and we acknowledge the difficulty. But there is a profound difference between being dedicated to pushing a particular point of view and being dedicated to come to work every day with an unbiased and objective outlook. And Climate Central has the latter.
About 20 years ago, a climate scientist came to us at Time magazine and said, you guys should be writing about climate change every week. And the answer was, but there's not new stuff happening every week. The big difference now is that there is new stuff. There's new evidence coming in every week showing that the climate is actually changing.
There are two main energy problems in this country. One is the fact that our fossil energy system emits greenhouse gases, and the second is that we import most of our oil from regions that are relatively unstable and not altogether friendly, a lot of them.
Climate Central will help explain the science of global warming and show you ways we can solve it. There's a challenge here, but also an opportunity for everyone.
I think climate change is is fundamentally interesting because it's the challenge of our time. Certainly for scientific people, for folks that know anything about energy, it's an opportunity to do something that's really, really important.
Based on my research that I've done for the last 25 years, I think there's a tremendous opportunities for technology to help deal with the problems.
I believe that solving the climate crisis will require an unprecedented level of effort and coordination among governments, and that if we do it, we may look back on it as one of the greatest achievements of humankind in all time.
I've spent my adult life in Silicon Valley, and I've watched technology transform the world we live in, bringing people and information together in more and more ways. We have so many exciting visual tools today to look at the globe, to look at the way that we interconnect and the way that our behavior in one part of the globe affects the other. We need to understand it about climate. We've come from a world where computers were the size of buildings to one where that same computer is carried in the palm of your hand. When we engage that community around the solutions for climate change, I'm very confident that we can bring that same transformative power to bear upon these challenges.
As a war reporter, I saw conflict around the world, and my fear is that unless we address climate change immediately and urgently, that those wars will pale in comparison to what my children will grow up and face.
And I spent a lot of time talking with my daughter, and I was trying to see the world through her eyes and what the eyes of her children, when she has children, might be. What would that world be like, and what did I do at this time that might have an impact upon that future? And I think that was what led me to this decision to come to Climate Central.